Good afternoon, Tobago, to the viewing public on the various platforms and members of the media. Welcome to the Innovative Democratic Alliance's presser for today, September the 3rd, 2024. I am Kate Trotman, and today I'm joined by political leader of the IDA, Dr. Denise Oyefat Angus, and we will be addressing a few topics that are engaging the attention of Tobagonians. We will speak to the issue of what seems to be an assault on Tobago's tourism product, as we call on the THA administration to operate with transparency and accountability regarding planned tourism developments. We will address the need for the THA to review the traffic patterns between Shervan Road and CAD Supermarket in Lowlands. Then we will focus on the fact that the National Constitution report is a disrespect to Tobagonians. But as I address the discourse on the seeming assault on Tobago's tourism product, let me begin by stating categorically, good governance demands transparency in the operations of any administration and accountability from its leaders to the population. When activities and projects are shrouded in secrecy, it only fuels speculation about the potential wrongdoing, which is detrimental to any well-intentioned project and to our democracy. Members of the media, fellow Tobagonians, and concerned citizens, I want to address a matter that poses a serious threat to the very fabric of our island's economy and the livelihood of its people. The Innovative Democratic Alliance has been closely monitoring the Tobago House of Assembly's handling of several development projects, particularly the proposed transformation of the Storbay Beach facility into the Storbay Beach Club, and the recent abrupt displacement of vendors along Swallows Beach. The idea sees transparency and consultation as essential for sustainable development. As such, at our last press conference 2 weeks ago, we sounded the alarm over the secretive nature of the Storbay Beach Club project. We demanded transparency from the THA regarding their plans for this iconic site, which plays a crucial role in Tobago's tourism and the local economy. Recent information reveals that the THA has met with the tenants to present the concept of the Storbay Beach Club. However, the process employed by the THA has only deepened our concerns. The proposal has been met with troubling concerns, to say the least, not because the vendors are opposed to progress, but because of the exclusionary process employed by the THA. The vendors, who have been the lifeblood of Storbay for generations, were not given a voice in the conceptualization of this development. They were not asked for their input. Instead, it appears the project was decided upon behind closed doors without their consent and involvement. In fact, many vendors find the very name Storbay Beach Club troubling, as it evokes images of an exclusive luxury development that could alienate locals and increase costs for vendors and visitors alike. But let me be very, very clear. The vendors are not opposed to the development. They understand the need to enhance our tourism projects and are willing to contribute to Tobago's growth. However, they strongly oppose the THA's approach, a process that has ignored their voices, disregarded their livelihoods, and imposed decisions without adequate consultation. It is this very concern that is at the heart of various Tobago communities' discourse on constitutional reform and the rights regarding community development which they desire to have enshrined therein. Sources have indicated that THA will relocate vendors to an area next to the facility this September to facilitate the start of the project. Yet, there are no visible signs of preparation for this move, and many vendors remain unclear about the details of the project, even after 2 meetings with the THA. This lack of clarity and transparency only adds to the anxiety and frustration of those whose livelihoods are at stake, a situation that is indeed troubling and unacceptable. But make no mistake, what we are witnessing is a pattern of hasty and poorly conceived decision-making by this THA administration. This isn't new. We have seen it before with the infamous Shark Attack reward, where the Chief Secretary impulsively offered a bounty on a shark without consulting experts or considering the environmental and ethical implications. This was an illogical move. The backlash was swift, and the decision had to be retracted. This is just one example, only one example, of the THA's troubling tendency to make rash decisions without considering broader impacts, only to backtrack when the consequences become apparent. This is the same administration, mind you, that accused the previous leadership of similar tactics regarding the Marriott Hotel and Airport project. Yet, they now stand guilty of the same, if not, at worst, this worst behavior. Let me say that again. This is the same administration that accused the previous leadership of similar tactics regarding projects like the Marriott Hotel and the airport development. Yet now they stand guilty of the same, if not worse, behavior. But consider the recent Swallows Beach event. Without warning or consultation, vendors were abruptly and unceremoniously removed from their booths. These booths were destroyed and their livelihoods put at risk. It is said that this move was a crime management strategy by the police, and that the area representative, Assemblyman Joel Sampson, advised vendors of the need to provide proof of permission to operate. However, it remains unclear who was responsible for issuing this permission. The question must be asked, was there any proper communication or collaboration between the police and the THA to ensure a fair and transparent process? The answer appears to be no. And in response to the public outcry, the THA hastily replaced demolished vendor structures with tents and tables, a reactionary measure that underscores the lack of thoughtful decision-making and proper consultation. It also highlights the disconnect between the THA and the very people they are supposed to serve. Why was there no collaborative approach between the THA and the police to manage the vendors' displacement in a way that preserved our tourism product, minimized social and economic disruption, and addressed the underlying issue of crime? Instead, we have seen a fragmented approach that has left vendors, tourists, and residents alike confused, and I dare say even frustrated. It is only amidst this unfortunate incident that we hear that the administration has plans in mind for the enhancement of this beachfront stretch. We must remember, these are not just businesses. They are family-run enterprises that have sustained generations. The sudden displacement of these vendors without any clear plan for their relocation or even compensation left many families in a state of economic despair, especially on the eve of a new school term. This situation has only deepened the distrust between citizens and the authorities. The aggressive and seemingly uncaring approach taken by the police in removing these vendors, coupled with the THA's lack of consultation, has left the community feeling betrayed and abandoned. But as we look at a way forward, there is a demand for transparency and inclusion. I want to be clearly understood, and I want it to be clearly understood, that the IDA is not opposed to the development of Tobago's tourism site. In fact, we understand the importance of enhancing our attractions to compete on a global stage. However, development must be inclusive, it must be transparent, and it must be considerate of the people it affects. The idea is calling for immediate and full transparency from the THA on the Store Bay Beach Club project. The THA must address the following questions. What is the true scope of the Store Bay Beach Club project? Tobagonians deserve to know the details, including its environmental impact and how it aligns with the needs of the local community. Who are the developers behind this initiative? The lack of clarity raises serious concerns about their intentions and the potential impact on our community. Why was there no meaningful consultation with the affected vendors and the wider Tobago community? The THA must involve all stakeholders to ensure that any development benefits everyone and not just a privileged few. And where are displaced vendors being relocated? And what compensation is being offered, if any? The THA must address the immediate economic fallout of its decision and provide adequate support for those affected. We also call for wider public consultation on the future of Store Bay, as it is not just an issue for the current vendors, but for all Tobagonians. Store Bay is one of our island's premier destination attraction, and its development will have far-reaching implications on the entire island. From this perspective, wider consultation is a must. I want to say that the IDA remains committed to advocating for the rights of all Tobagonians. We will continue to monitor these developments closely and hold the THA accountable for their actions. We therefore urge the media, the public, and all stakeholders to join us in demanding transparency, accountability, and inclusion in all decisions that shape Tobago's future. In closing, let us remember that the strength of our community lies in our ability to work together, to listen to each other, and to build a future that benefits all. The THA's current approach to these developments threatens to undermine the unity. But it is not too late to change course, and we therefore call on the THA to engage with the people of Tobago, to listen to their concerns, and to ensure that any development on our island is truly in the best interest of our citizens. I thank you, and I now open the floor for any questions you may have. Okay. I would therefore like to call on the political leader of the IDA to address the issues related to the need for the THA to review the traffic patterns between Shervan Road and CAD Supermarket in Lowlands, and the national constitutional reform, which we take as gross disrespect to Tobagonians. Dr. Angus.
Pleasant good afternoon, everyone, those of our viewing and listening audience, and members of the media. Thank you for being here today as we gather to address another matter of grave importance, the safety of our roads in Tobago. Specifically, we are discussing the troubling and tragic incidents that have occurred along the stretch of highway from CAD Supermarket to that area called Shervan Park. And this stretch has become a corridor of danger, claiming the lives of too many of our residents and countless other accidents. Let us begin by acknowledging the most recent tragedy that has struck our community, the loss of Rolisa Cook. On the night of August 30th, Rolisa, a vibrant young woman with a bright future, was attempting to cross the Claude Noel Highway when she was struck by a vehicle. Despite the driver's attempts to avoid her, the poor lighting and fast-moving traffic led to a fatal collision. Rolisa's death is not just another statistic. It is a devastating reminder that our roads are not as safe as they need to be. On my own behalf and that of the IDA, I pause to extend deepest condolences to her family, the Bethel community, her colleagues at Big Dog where she worked, friends and supporters. May her soul rest in peace. But Rolisa is not the only life lost on this perilous stretch of road. Just earlier this year, we lost Philbert Thomas, who was driving along the Claude Noel Highway when his vehicle crashed. His car veered off the road and collided with a tree, killing him instantly. This accident, which occurred not too far from where Rolisa was struck, highlights the recurring dangers faced by drivers in this area. We must also remember Samuel Wilkinson, a long-standing resident of Hamden Lowlands Oskinskio community, who was killed last year while crossing the highway near CAD Supermarket. Samuel's tragic death was particularly heartbreaking because he had spoken just days earlier about the urgent need for a pedestrian crossing at that very spot. Unfortunately, his hopes for safer roads were not realized in time to save his life. There have also been other accidents in the same area. Thank God they have not resulted in fatalities. Nevertheless, they did occur. At this point, we must accept that these incidents are not isolated. They are part of a disturbing pattern that demands immediate action. In fact, the residents of Hampden Lowlands, Oskinskjor, on Tuesday, the 28th of November, 2023, were promised by this THA administration to institute some measures like warning lights to address the issue of the crossing by CADs. Unfortunately, it was only the day after being present at that consultation and voicing his issues that Samuel lost his life to the same area in question. A mere 2 months short of a year from that conversation, and in almost the same area, Rolisa lost her life. The idea therefore calls on the THA to take urgent action before we have yet other families mourning for more lives. We recommend that there's urgent need for a pedestrian crossing near to CAD supermarket and other high traffic areas. These crossings should be well lit, clearly marked, to ensure that both drivers and pedestrians are aware of them. In many of the reports by those involved in accidents, the poor lighting conditions along the highway have contributed to multiple fatalities. The THA must prioritize the installation of high-intensity street lights in areas known to be dangerous, especially near residential zones and commercial areas. We cannot afford to be reactive when it comes to road safety. The THA must commit to regular reviews of traffic patterns and make necessary adjustments based on accident data and community feedback. It is also critical that we educate both drivers and pedestrians about road safety. The THA can start with a public awareness campaign which can play a key role in reducing risky behaviors that lead to accidents. It is indeed with a heavy heart that the IDA remembers Rolisa Cook, Philbert Thomas, and Samuel Wilkinson, and all those who have tragically lost their lives on our roads. We owe it to them and to every member of our community to make sure that no more lives are cut short in this way. The time for talk has passed. Now is the time for action. We call on the THA to implement these changes immediately for the safety of all of Tobago's residents and visitors. We will take questions at this point on this issue. Okay. So let's move on to address another critical issue, which, if we get it resolved, should significantly alter this trend where those in power don't feel the need to talk to people, to listen to the people, or even honor their promises to the people. Constitution reform to give the people a predictable and consistent say is what we need as the solution to all of these issues where people feel that they are not being heard. But today, we are discussing the false start of this National Constitution report where Tobago is concerned. A document that was intended to shape the future governance of this nation. However, this report has shown a profound disregard for the legitimate demands of the people of Tobago, particularly in our calls for greater autonomy, community empowerment, and executive accountability. The report contains a troubling assertion on page 98, that Tobagonians and Trinidadians can hardly be characterized nowadays as different and distinct groups. I want you to go and read it for yourselves. Page 98. This statement is not only inaccurate, but also dismissive of the unique identity, culture, and governance needs of Tobago. It ignores the distinct historical trajectory of Tobago, our sense of community, and the pride we take in our ancestry, heritage, and village life. Yes, Tobagonians went to Trinidad to live, especially in the area of Toco and San Fernando. Yes, Trinidadians came to Tobago to live. But you cannot say that because of these issues and our islands that have been joined together for 125 years, and this intermingling that's occurring, that this wipes out our identity. Again, this is the disrespect we continue to suffer. One stroke of a pen like a magic wand, our identity is wiped away. Not so easy to do, because Tobago has maintained a rich cultural heritage, deeply rooted in our unique history and community life. Our villages are the bedrock of Tobagonian society, where communal ties and shared responsibilities form the fabric of our daily lives. This way of life is distinctly different from that of Trinidad, and it is this uniqueness that we seek to preserve through our calls for greater autonomy. The statement further trivializes the distinctiveness that Tobagonians hold dear. It fails to recognize that our demand for self-governance is not merely about administrative changes, but about preserving and empowering our way of life beginning at the community level, which is fundamentally different from that of Trinidad. Another instance of the disrespect is found in the report's language when it refers to Tobago's calls for self-government as coming from certain quarters. That one is on page 56. Who are you talking about when you say it coming from certain quarters? When in your report you said 1,081 persons who attended your consultation was enough to form an opinion for 1.3 million people. I want to remind you that when the Tobago Forum of Political Parties sent down the document to Trinidad, they had over 500 people from Tobago attending. Based on 60,000 people, that is 0.8%, not 0.08, 0.8%, closer to 1%. Okay? And those were the number of people who attended and said, this is what Tobago wants. We go further to ask you, what you're talking about when who you call into certain quarters in Tobago. Let's look at the recent conversations that Dr. Vanus James has been having around the island in Tobago. He visited 12 communities across Tobago. You visited 14 communities across Trinidad and Tobago. He spoke to over 100 persons out of 60,000. That's about 0.25% as compared to your 0.08%. So who are you talking about when you talk about certain quarters wanting this? But we're going to give you the benefit of the doubt. Let's add to the number, the 1,000 persons that you came to the consultation. Let's add the 861 submissions. And we wouldn't take it away that we know some people who attended still submitted. Per 1.3 million people, that is still only 0.14% as compared to 0.25% that Dr. James has been going around communities with. So we asked the question, was that more representative of what Tobagonians want than the 1,942 persons participating to speak to you on the country? 0.25% versus 0.14% for the whole country. And so to the committee, I want to tell you, wheel and come again. This phrasing of certain quarters is dismissive and minimizes the widespread and long-standing desire for greater autonomy that has been consistently voiced by Tobagonians. By suggesting that these demands come from only certain quarters, the report implies that these are fringe views, not representative of the broader Tobagonian population. This is far from the truth, as I just described in the bit of the mathematics that we just did. The push for autonomy is a deeply rooted movement that reflects the collective will of the people of Tobago, not just a select few. Your statistics, when compared to ours in terms of the number of persons per 10,000 who speak for Tobago versus what you achieved in speaking for the country, does not give you the right to address our demands as coming from certain quarters. Such language indicates a reluctance to seriously engage with Tobago's demands, further alienating Tobagonians and undermining the legitimacy of our aspirations for self-governance. This is why, from the flawed start of this committee's perspective, we do not see ourselves and our aspirations expressed in the report. The idea was also very saddened to hear the minority leader wholeheartedly put party business first before Tobago's business. When he said that he endorsed the report because it was a party position taken at his recent party's convention in Trinidad. Where has he come back to the people of Tobago to ask whether Tobagonians agree with what is in that report? Many community leaders are saying they are not satisfied with the report. Let me remind you all, Tobago is increase in crime as how we've seen it now. And so this model is essential for addressing the unique challenges of equitable and effective, because every village has a different story to tell. Hope had a similar story to Delaford with lighting of the playing field, but there are other issues that the communities feel that they can be empowered to deal with, and it will be much better done in a faster time. Communities are demanding control over their own budgets, allowing them to prioritize spending on projects that directly benefit their residents. This is crucial for fostering economic self-sufficiency and ensuring that resources are used in ways that reflect the needs and aspirations that they have equal authority in decision-making processes and are focused on the formation of making law to protect their rights. This balance is essential to prevent the concentration of power in the hands of a few and to ensure that the government remains accountable to the people. So whilst they accept that the Constitution says that we can make laws, it is a dangerous scenario right now because all of the executive sits at all of the members, most of the members sit at the executive level, and so there's no balance of power and no control on each side as to who is making the law. Is this law the best thing for our people? And therefore ensuring that the right laws are made at the right time. The communities are also demanding recognition as an additional layer of governance, allowing them to have a direct voice in all laws being made, whether at the national level or the Tobago legislative level. This is essential for ensuring that decisions are made closer to the people they affect, leading to more effective and responsive governance. Our current governance structure is based on a dictatorial model of governance that does not allow for the people to have power through having a predictable and consistent say through their representative. Case in point, what Ms. Trotman spoke about previously with the Storbe Beach facility and actually the Pigeon Point Swallows areas. People don't have a say. They're being dictated to. And so persons have expressed that they put them there and they no longer feel they can talk to them. The time has come for a structure to be entrenched such that the people don't have to run down their representatives, but through the Constitution, they can have consistent dialogue as a must. Just to clarify that this data gathered by Dr. James in his focus groups across the island came from many Tobagonians throughout communities who chose to remove their political hats and wear the Tobago hat. In many of those communities, we saw persons from all the 4 different parties on the island. I don't know if there's more than 4 right now, but there are 4. And persons were there. Out of all of those persons there, over 100 people, 1 person had an issue in there. Everybody else said, this is the road we want to walk for our communities. And I commend those people who attended those activities, and even those people who attended the discussion at the Scarborough Library just last week, Wednesday, to hear the report, to hear what they said and how it's now being structured for them. And I really want to commend them for coming out, being present, and actually being able to wear their Tobago hat first and their party hat later on. And so this is another area where there's a distinct difference from Trinidad. The majority of Tobagonians are Tobago first and party after. And on this whole topic, on what communities want, they are speaking loudly. What else do they want? They're also demanding that the Senate be fully elected, both at the national level and within Tobago. This opportunity was not even mentioned in the Tobago section of the report. They gave Trinidad a mixed model that doesn't make much sense of having some elected and some appointed. An elected Senate is necessary to ensure that all communities are fairly represented in the legislative process. Appointed senators may not always have the same level of commitment to their constituents because, frankly speaking, they don't have constituents. They are only beholden to the person that installed them or put them there. And so this leads to a disconnect between the Senate and the people they're supposed to serve. An elected Senate would be or should be dedicated to ensuring that all communities, especially Tobago communities and Tobago, are fairly treated and that no community is left behind. Lansome would have the same chance as developing as a Bethel, as a Calder Hall, or as in the Deep West in Canaan, Bonaccord, Crown Point. This is crucial for maintaining social cohesion and ensuring that all areas of the country, regardless of their size or economic power, receive the attention and resources they need to thrive. The idea considers that the National Constitution Reform Report, by failing to acknowledge and incorporate the legitimate demands of the people of Tobago, has shown a deep disrespect for our identity, our aspirations, and our right to self-governance. The dismissive language used in the report, particularly the characterization of our demands as coming from certain quarters, further alienates Tobagonians and undermines the very principles of democracy and equity that should guide our nation. So again, I say to the committee, wheel and come again. As this time around, Tobagonians are standing firm in the call for a governance structure that truly reflects their unique community life and empowers them to govern ourselves effectively from the ground up. Their demands are clear for a constitution that includes real decentralized governance, budgetary control for the communities, executive accountability, and an elected Senate that represents all citizens fairly. These are not just requests. These are essential steps to ensure that Tobago can continue to grow and contribute positively to the future of our twin island nation. the crime situation has created this pivotal approach Tobago's cries for autonomy differently, then we will continue to reap the same results and even worse. From all reports and discussions, communities are not prepared to accept anything less than full recognition of their rights and their potential to fully participate in their own development and contribute to not just fighting crime, but more importantly, preventing crime and safeguarding the well-being of its residents. Thank you, and I now have questions.
Dr. Anders, what would parties like the idea to moving forward and dealing with the system? Can it push for the report to be revisited?
Of course. So we can push, all of us can push. In fact, at the constitutional meeting that was held last Wednesday, where Dr. James shared the report, we had many vocal persons from that meeting. We had the chairman of the TPP who spoke well and committed to this process. We had, of course, me as coming from the IDA. We had persons representative in the audience speaking from the PNM. We didn't see any PNM leadership there, but there are clearly persons who are from the PNM who were there and who were speaking. So we know that this is something that as a community of Tobagonians, we are prepared to fight for, and therefore communities, they're the ones saying that this is what we are prepared to fight for. So we are saying to political parties, take off your hat for a moment. Let us fight for what we truly say we're fighting for, which is for Tobago, our rights, and the community's rights. So let us work together to get that done. Then we can take off the Tobago hat, put on the party hat, and go into elections. But right now, Tobago's future is at stake with that document that has gone on to Trinidad. And let me state further that there's another piece within that document, I believe it's page 60, where it speaks to the removal of the special majority from our constitution. That is a dangerous move. It means that on any given day, a majority of one over an opposition can decide to do anything they want to do to the people of this country and the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. This is not just Tobago anymore, but the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. Okay, so thank you all for being here. Thank you for listening on our Facebook pages, the social media pages, and please, this is about all of us. Join the conversation and let's get into action. Thank you.